Now, the Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, Thoko Didiza, has met industry stakeholders to discuss several challenges facing the livestock industry regarding the outbreak of the foot and mouth disease. Minister Didiza joins us now live to share her department's strategy against the disease. Minister, very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. You've made an appeal to the public to stop the illegal movement of animals because you're dealing here with a highly contagious viral disease. How big is this outbreak?
Well, thank you very much, Mpho, and your viewership. The challenge we're having with foot and mouth, you recall that in 2019 we picked up some cases in Limpopo around Capricorn district. We were able to contain that disease and where it remained, where we were actually vaccinating, it's around what is called the protected area, which is closer to the Kruger Park in Vembe, Thulamela district in particular. This is an area where you always have problem of the movement of buffaloes, and they interact with the cattle, and actually buffaloes are the carriers of foot and mouth. So we've been vaccinating in that area, trying to make sure that we contain and can manage the disease there. We then had an outbreak in KwaZulu-Natal last year around the area of Mkhanyakude, where also we are managing the disease through vaccination and ensuring that there is no movement of cattle around the disaster management area. What has happened in March is that there is one farmer from Northwest who actually bought cattle from a protected area in Vembe where we're not supposed to be moving animals because of the disease that is actually prevalent in that area. And unfortunately, that's what brought the virus in Northwest. And because he rendered an auction, you then had a farmer in Gauteng and a farmer in Free State who actually bought, and unfortunately those animals were also infected. So that's what we are actually managing now. Gauteng has already slaughtered those animals to make sure that we clear off the disease. Northwest and Free State are going to follow the same. And this strategy of slaughtering and culling is to make sure that we actually stem up and control the disease from spreading. We are continuing with vaccination in Limpopo and KwaZulu-Natal, and that's why we are really pleading together with the industry to say our farmers and our people should not actually move animals illegally, because that affects our animal health system as a country.
As you speak of KwaZulu-Natal, Minister, we know that the KZN MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development, Bongiwe Sithola Moloi, spoke about the movement of livestock being prohibited for a 5-year period. Is that now an indication of how long this managing could take in curbing the outbreak?
Actually, in the KZN area, the approach that we've taken there, because it's a large area in communal areas, you have to really make sure that as much as you vaccinate, you continuously have to blood the animals and test so that you can be certain that you have dealt with the disease completely. That's why they are giving themselves a timeline of 5 years. It may not be 5 years, it may be lesser, but you actually are containing that management area of the disease to make sure that you do whatever is necessary on the containment and management of the disease in that area, such that it does not spread to other areas that are not affected at the moment.
And how much of an impact have the deadly floods in KwaZulu-Natal had on the agricultural sector and containing this outbreak?
Well, the impact, as you know, has been largely concentrated in the district of eThekwini, Ugu, and Ilembe. Few in King Cetshwayo. But what we have done as a precaution, on Wednesday we had a meeting with the industry in KZN together with our officials to really try and do a quick surveillance so that we can have a sense of whether or not these floods and heavy rains might not have created a situation where animals might have moved from that area. So far, we have not picked up any positive outside the disease management area. But I would like to say to our citizens, our animal health products, particularly your beef, it's still in good shape, and therefore we can eat it with no preservation that there might be a challenge.
Could you find a challenge now, this matter being detrimental on the economy, especially when it comes to the exporting of red meat? I know it's a multi-million rand industry.
Well, the impact on the economy is indeed there, and that's why we're making sure that our intervention should give confidence to our trading partners that as a country we're actually dealing with this disease as best as we could. We're reporting on a weekly basis to the international organization OIE so that they can share also with people globally on our containment and management strategy in order to give confidence to our trading partners to continue trading with us outside of those areas that have been affected. It is for that reason that we have taken a very strong measure when it comes to Gauteng, Northwest and Free State of culling and slaughtering so that indeed you don't have any spread and you are able to ensure that the entirety of the country can continue with the trade. And I want to thank the industry for availing themselves and also resources such as state veterinarians and non-state veterinarians. When I say non-state, is those private vets, and we will be mobilizing more of them and animal health technicians to work with us in the containment of the disease, particularly in Limpopo and KZN.
Minister, as you speak about slaughtering and culling, what impact will that and the ban have on the livelihoods of stock owners? I mean, are there any measures that government has put in place to support them?
Yes, there is. One of the things that we need to do as a country, and the provinces, particularly our MECs, have agreed, we need to really up our game when it comes to dipping services. That's your first baseline of actually managing any animal disease. Secondly, it's animal identification. You know, the branding that our grandmothers and grandfathers used to have so that we can identify that this animal belongs to Mamu, Majola, and so on. Yes. It's very important to be able to know that these animals, because if you have an animal identification system and your proper dipping services, you can actually know that this animal has had its health under check, it has got various vaccine at the time at which it has, so you are clear about the health status of that animal. But also if that animal strays away, it's important to pick it up that it belongs to so-and-so. So we want to make sure that the compliance on animal identification is actually emphasized, because that's an important defense mechanism. Protocol on the movement of animals is very important, not only for disease management, but also for avoiding stock theft. Because if people can just move stock, you would not know whether this is somebody who bought those animals or it's somebody who has stolen those animals. So some of these protocols, we want to make sure that we really strengthen them, are important for saving this industry economically as well.
Yeah. Very lastly, Minister, before we let you go, does this now speak or dictate the pricing when it comes to red meat? Is there an increase as a result of this?
No, there is no increase as yet that we've observed on the increase of meat, particularly beef, in our system.
And could it be expected along the line as you try and contain as best as you can the spread of the outbreak?
I don't think so. You know, containment does not mean you can't then have, in the areas where you don't have disease, not being able to market your product. That is why, again, I emphasize the drastic decision we've taken in respect of Northwest, because you don't have a number of farms that are affected. In Free State, actually, there's one. In Gauteng, there's one. And that's why culling and disposal is important that we undertake that, so that you stem off the disease immediately and you can allow, a number of farmers to be able to trade freely with animal products in those areas.
Very well. Thank you so much, Minister Didiza. Let's leave it there for now. Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, Thoko Didiza, now speaking about the strategy that's in place when it comes to curbing the spread of foot and mouth disease, that outbreak. Of course, calling on the public to stop the illegal movement of animals to ensure that it is managed.